I'm continuing my build-up to the World Championship match final between Magnus Carlsen and Sergei Karjakin that starts in November. And I've been looking back at their past encounters, and well, I'm sort of almost coming to the end of my little survey. If you recall, in 2012, Karjakin defeated Carlson in Vikonsay, and this levelled the scores in their classical games. But after that, Carlson has had the better of him. He's won 3 classical games. They've had some draws in other classical games, but Carlson has won 3 of them in Vikonsay 2013, Norway Chess 2014, and recently in the Bilbao Masters Tournament 2016. Beautiful game from Carlson. You can see all those games on the playlist on the Power Play Chess channel. I recorded those game analyses at the time of the tournaments when they were played, and it's quite interesting to look back with hindsight, knowing what we know now and seeing my thoughts on the players at that time. So do check out those games. Some absolutely superb wins by Carlson. So on paper, with such a score, 4 wins for Carlson, only 1 win for Karjakin, and 16 draws, I think. 16 draws in classical chess. Carlson is the favourite on paper. But things aren't so clear. As Karjakin said, the match starts at 0-0. Good point. But also Sergei Karjakin has a lot going for him. He's a proven winner. In 2012, he won the World Rapid Play Championship. In 2013 and the next year in 2014, he won the Norway Chess Tournament ahead of Carlsen. In 2014, he came second in the Candidates Tournament. That was the one that Anand won. In 2015, he was the winner of the World Cup, the knockout tournament, defeating Svidler in the final. Very nerve-wracking match that was. And in 2016, of course, he was the winner of the Candidates Tournaments. Now, in all those victories, I think what came through very strongly was his even temperament. He has such good nerves, and in that way, he actually matches Carlsen very well indeed. That's very important when you're playing Carlsen. He also has stamina. Again, that's proven by his results in these tournaments. And in order to have stamina, you need mental strength, but also physical strength, the kind of physical strength that Carlsen has. Karjakin has that as well. He's physically very strong. In his youth, he was actually a kind of gymnastics champion, so they say. But you can see that very well. So things aren't as clear as perhaps they look, and although Carlsen is the favourite, on his day Karjakin has a chance. So I wanted to finish up my survey by looking at a couple of games, one from a rapid play event, a World Championship in Astana in 2012, and a blitz game that they played. So first of all, let me show you a game where Carlsen has white against Karjakin. Astana Rapid Play World Championship 2012. Actually, Karjakin won this tournament. And this is a classic Carlsen squeeze. You can see very close pawns, 2 pawns each. But Carlsen has the initiative, and we know he's very dangerous here. So he's threatening to check on the 7th. Perhaps use his king, perhaps get this pawn going. And short of time, Karjakin doesn't get it quite right. I think he should just push the pawn, and actually I can't quite see how white is making progress here. You could perhaps try and push the h pawn, but I think the a pawn will give black counterplay. Instead, Karjakin kind of rushes it. He plays bishop d4. And then there's a check on f8. And then bishop d6. So just for a moment it looks a little bit wobbly for Carlsen, but actually everything is still protected. Rook c6, hitting the bishop. Carlsen has to come back with a rook to protect the bishop, but actually he wants to play this because he wants to check on the 7th rank. And now things definitely start to go Carlsen's way, because the bishop reaches this glorious square on e5. Maybe moving the bishop from d4 wasn't so good, but already white had the initiative with this check threat. So bishop e5 check. And white claims the 7th rank, and although it still looks as though black is holding well, the squeeze starts. This pawn advances down the board. And this a pawn is going nowhere, and yeah, who knows what white is trying to do here. Maybe a check here, maybe some action on the 7th, maybe advancing this pawn again. Rook h6. And now here, very nice move from Carlsen. Bishop g7, he's trying to push Karjakin into taking that pawn, and suddenly it's game over. Bishop is attacked. When it drops back, rook f7, threatening rook f8 mate. No decent defence. Really nasty. So in this position, the rook is attacked, had to go back to c6. And now this horrible squeeze. Suddenly, the pawn on h7 is a target. I should just emphasise that this was a rapid play game. Very difficult to defend when you're short of time. And here, Karjakin makes the last, final, decisive mistake. He checked on c4, bishop f6, very difficult move to play, gives black a chance. Rook h7, black can defend. And, well, this is the scariest variation, actually, because it looks as though black's king has been sidelined here. I mean, this looks terrifying, but in fact, after the pawn pushes, the king has no shelter, and black can just keep checking with the rook. Black should draw that. Very difficult to see under time pressure, but instead, rook c4 check. The bishop comes back. I mean, this is the rock around which white plays, and suddenly white is in. And now a little tactic to finish. Rook takes bishop, and if king takes rook h7 and the pawn goes home. Classic Carlsen squeeze there. Okay, so to balance things up, let me show you a game where Karjakin hits back. A blitz game from the Norway Masters in 2013. Here, Carlsen with black. He takes the pawn on a5. I mean, this is a very unclear position. I don't want to delve too deeply into it, but this is an exchange sack. But it looks like a pretty good one, because Carlsen has control here. He has two pawns. He has control. Rook a4 wants to undermine the protection for the knight on b3. Now, very nicely played by Carlsen. It's all about the initiative in quick games. Gives up the a6 pawn, but here, pushing the e-pawn allows black to open up white's king. And what Carlsen is doing now, apart from re-centralising the knight, very good, he's trying to push the rook away from defending the d6 square. He wants to get the bishop to d6. So with queen e5, he's hoping that the rook is going to go to a7, then bishop d6, and queen is trying to come in. Probably white would have to give up the exchange. But Karjakin hangs tough, keeps control of the d6 square. They repeat the position. So Carlsen obviously doesn't want to take a draw, wants to play on, just holds things. So that's brave. He's the exchange down, but it pays off, because suddenly the knight comes in and the bishop comes to the dream diagonal. Karjakin plays by exchange, sacking back the exchange. Very sensible, probably has to do it. and now he just activates the bishop. Okay, this is good play, and he doesn't bother attempting to defend this pawn, but instead just activates the bishop. Again, it's all about the initiative in blitz games. G5, good move, doesn't really weaken the king, just gives king some room actually. And now Carlson should probably take that pawn, although active rook, decent bishop, decent drawing chances for white. But Carlson wants more. Knight f5, and understandably, because white's king is a little bit exposed. Knight attacks the queen. Queen moves to c5. And here black is still okay after after queen e3 check, but Carlson wants more, and why not? But Karjakin plays very coolly here. Bishop h5, hitting the pawn on f7. And here, well, if you're a computer, you'll find, after bishop h5, you'll find queen e4, and remarkably, white can still draw this position after queen c6, and that covers the g2 square by an x-ray. But instead, Carlson cracked. He played rook f8, defending f7, and rook e7 with a skewer, winning the knight, and here Carlson resigned. So just wanted to show you an example of how Karjakin is able to hold his nerve in difficult situations, and that is going to help him greatly when it comes to the match in November. So do check out all these games I've shown on the Carlsen Karjakin playlist. It's going to be a great match, and I'll be reporting and giving my analysis on all the games from the final in New York.